Is the Oukitel K9 a good phone to buy? Well, in this video, we're going to find out. Hi everyone, this is Kevin here, coming at you with my Oukitel K9 review. Now, if you're not familiar with Oukitel, they're an up-and-coming mobile brand based in China, and they create a variety of different factory-unlocked budget smartphones. They're similar to Umidigi, which I'm sure many of you are already familiar with, and I have a feeling that in 2020, Oukitel is going to be doing a lot. But they already put out an awesome device here in 2019, which is the Oukitel K9. Now, this is a budget phone, so there's some shortcomings, but there's a lot of positives with it as well. So I'm going to be going through that throughout this video. Now, the Oukitel K9 is being offered currently on Amazon for $239. It's available factory unlocked and is a dual SIM device. So in the US, this phone will work with any GSM carrier, so AT&T, T-Mobile, Metro by T-Mobile, Cricket, and smaller GSM carriers like Mint Mobile will have no problem working with this phone. I've been using this phone with Cricket Wireless and it's been working really well. Now, the device features a very large 7.2-inch display, so you might not be able to tell how large it is. Maybe you can tell kind of because it's very big in my hand, but this is the iPhone 11, for example, and you can see how much bigger it is than the iPhone 11. So it's a truly massive device with a 7.12-inch display. Now, this display is 1080p, so it does look really good. It is an LCD display though, so not AMOLED, a bit unfortunate, but still a very good looking display. You're getting excellent colors here. It's also very sharp and features a PPI of 350. The aspect ratio of this display on the device is 19:9. Now, we do have a teardrop notch design with this device, which is a design that I'm sure many of you have been very familiar with throughout 2019. But up top here, we do have that little notch. It doesn't really get in the way though, so I don't mind it. And it does feature an 8-megapixel front-facing camera. Now, towards the bottom of the device, we have a little bit of a thicker chin here, but overall, you're getting a very solid screen-to-body ratio with the phone. So I'm very happy about that. It's a very good-looking device overall. And again, this display is massive. It's great for consuming content, but it also just looks really nice. It gets very bright as well, if you haven't noticed already. And Oukitel really did pick out a very nice display panel to pair up with this phone. In about 2 weeks, I'm going to be over at the Consumer Electronics Show, so I'm really hoping that Oukitel is there at the show so I can stop by their booth and get to meet them in person. The Oukitel K9 features 64 gigabytes of internal storage, so a lot of internal storage, but if that's not enough for you, then you can even put an SD card in the device to expand that. Now, there is no wireless charging with the Oukitel K9, but on the back of the phone, we do have a fingerprint sensor. So we'll try that out right now. And it's a very quick and responsive fingerprint sensor, so I'm very happy about that. Also on the back of the phone is the camera module. So we're getting a 16-megapixel main camera and a 2-megapixel secondary camera. Now, later on in the video, I'll show you some photo and video samples from the device, so stay tuned for that. But you are getting portrait mode with the phone. Now, just a little warning, the portrait mode doesn't work extremely well, but I'll talk more about that when we actually get into the photo and video test. The device features 4 gigabytes of RAM, which I'm really happy about. I'm glad it has 4, not 3, and especially not 2. And we're getting the MediaTek Helio P35 as the processor. So it would have been nice to see maybe a little bit better of a processor, maybe the MediaTek Helio P60 instead, or even the P70 would have been awesome, especially considering the price that they're offering this phone for. But I did do an Antutu benchmark test to see how that is on this device, and I got an overall score of 104,193. And here's the breakdown for the CPU, GPU, memory, and UX. So what I recommend doing is on your phone right now, go run this Antutu benchmark test, see what scores you get, and then compare those scores to the scores on this device to see if this is a performance upgrade. So overall, the performance is pretty decent. I did install the Nova launcher here on the phone, so that's the launcher that's running on the device. I just wasn't a big fan of the stock launcher that comes with the phone. It's not stock Android. It's actually a modified launcher of some sort. I mean, I can switch over it if you want to see it. Yeah, so this is the launcher that typically comes with the device. So at first glance, it looks pretty good, but there is no app drawer or anything like that. And that's one of my favorite features with Android. So I did install the Nova Launcher instead, which is right here. So I'm definitely a fan of stock Android and the launcher that you typically get with it. So for that reason, that's why I added Nova Launcher here, and I think overall you are getting better performance with it compared to the launcher that comes with the device. But it's super easy to swap out the launcher. I literally just did it a second ago, and all you have to do is go to the Play Store, look up Nova Launcher, and download it. And you get a bunch of different customizations you can do, and that's just the standard version of the launcher. You can always upgrade to the premium version of it if you want. Now, for those of you watching that have Android devices, let me know what launcher you're using. Are you just using the default launcher that comes with the device that you're using? Or did you download a third-party launcher like I just did? Definitely let me know about that. But yeah, with Nova Launcher, it's nice and responsive, easy to scroll around. I'm certainly a fan of the app drawer. It's one of my favorite features with Android. In fact, it's a feature I really wish iOS would add. I know they never will, but I like that feature a lot. Now, beyond the launcher though, it is a pretty stock version of Android. It's not like they really changed much beyond that. There are some pre-installed applications that you typically do not get though with stock Android, including a dedicated wireless update application, Toolbag, System Manager, SIM Toolkit, QR code scan, and a few others. But we do have an FM radio as well. That's a nice perk here with the Oukitel K9. But the best part about the software on this device is that it is well optimized, and especially if you do throw on a launcher like Nova Launcher, you're gonna have a great experience. Now, one of the biggest highlights with the Oukitel K9 is the battery capacity. Now, this device features a 6,000 milliamp hour internal battery. In fact, one of the biggest internal batteries I think I've used on a phone this year, which says a lot because I think I've had about 30 phones this year, if not more than that. But you'll see it in a second, but the device does come with a 25-watt fast charging adapter. So it is fast charging compatible, and you certainly need it with such a large battery. And then also, I forgot to mention this when I was talking about the software, but the phone does come with Android 9 Pie. I have no idea if or when or if ever it will be updated to Android 10, but I certainly wouldn't recommend buying this device thinking that you will get an update to Android 10. You're most likely going to be stuck with Android 9 Pie forever. But I know that some people, including myself, don't really see that as being a big deal. So here is the box that the phone comes in. You can see Oukitel K9 right there in the corner. So all of Oukitel's packaging is typically in this bright orange, but in the box we do get a clear case here. So not a whole lot of protection here with this case, but still nice that they do include it. We also get a booklet here with some literature about the phone, including a quick start guide. We have a USB-C OTG cable, which is great to see included. We have a USB-C to 3.5 millimeter adapter so that you can plug your 3.5 millimeter headphones into the device. We have a micro USB cable for charging and data transfer. And then here is that fast charging adapter. So again, this is a 25-watt fast charging adapter. So that's very cool that they do include this here in the box. It's definitely a premium charger. But like I mentioned before, you certainly will need it with this phone, considering how large the battery actually is. Let's take a closer look at the hardware. So I already talked a lot about the front panel here. Of course, it is an LCD display. It is 1080p. And we're getting a PPI of 350. So a very sharp, good-looking display on this device, great for viewing video content, which we'll do in a second here. But overall, a very good and nice-looking phone from the front here. Now, taking a look at the left side here, we have the slot for the micro SD card and SIM card. So it is a dual SIM device, but if you do decide to put a micro SD card in the phone, you do have to give up one of the dual SIM slots. Then on the right side, we have the power button and volume button. Then on the top of the phone, we have nothing here. And then on the bottom, we have the microphone, USB-C port for charging and data transfer, and we have the speaker. Then on the rear of the phone, we have the dual camera module, we have the flash, we have the fingerprint sensor, and Oukitel logo. Now you can of course go to Oukitel.com and check out all of their different products and learn more about the brand. But the back of the phone is in this nice piano black color. It certainly is a fingerprint magnet, as you can see here, but it does look pretty nice. But that fingerprint sensor is very useful, nice and quick and easy to use, so no complaints about that at all. I've had a really good experience using Cricket Wireless with the Oukitel K9. Now, Cricket's not the fastest carrier ever, but these speeds that I'm getting right here are what I'm paying for. So these are the typical speeds that I get with any phone that I use Cricket Wireless with. So yeah, it works fine. So if you're a Cricket customer, then just know that if you buy the Oukitel K9, literally all you have to do is just put your SIM card into the phone and then you're good to go. Calling works very well, so no issues at all with that either. Nice and clear calls. And text messaging works well too with both sending, and receiving, if I can type today. Also, the keyboard is nice and responsive here as well, which is great. When I send messages, they come through very quickly. And same thing with receiving messages, so great emoji support as well with the device. Here's a really good screen to body ratio. You can see up top here, we do have a teardrop notch with very small bezels. Now down at the bottom, so the video viewing experience with the Oukitel K9 is great, considering that it does have a very large display and it is 1080p. So I'm able to play YouTube videos at 1080p with no issues at all, so that's awesome. The only issue though with viewing video content, and I guess this applies to music as well, is that the speakers on this phone are a bit weak. So not the loudest speakers I've ever heard, so that's a bit unfortunate. But if you do want to pair this up with headphones or even a Bluetooth speaker, that's going to work really well. I mean, it does still get the job done, and you can certainly still listen and comprehend what's going on from listening to the speaker, but I've used plenty of other phones in this price range and even cheaper than this phone, and they have better sounding speakers. I was able to spend some quality time taking a lot of photos and videos with Oukitel K9, but the standard photos with the main camera do look pretty decent. I don't mind them. They look nice. They're nice and clear too. But if you do get into lower light situations, you are going to run into some issues. But the colors look nice. Things are super crisp and clear with the photos. Really the only complaint that I have with the camera quality from the Oukitel K9 is that the portrait mode really isn't a true portrait mode. So really all the portrait mode seems to do is it just blurs out the edges of the photo. So you can see in this photo, for example, it's just like a perfect circle of non-blur in the middle. So it's certainly not what I call a native portrait mode. It seems like they just almost added like a filter over the photos to give it a portrait mode look. So that's a bit unfortunate. So if portrait mode is important to you, then you might not want to get this phone. But if you don't care about portrait mode, then just know that the main camera does do a good job. Now the front camera is not terrible, but there is some room for improvement, that's for sure. So with the front camera, the photos do seem like they're a little on the yellower side, and they're not the sharpest ever, but again, it still does get the job done. I don't think the cameras on here are a complete deal breaker, but I also don't think that they're necessarily the best cameras that I've seen from a phone in this price range. But let's now take a look at some video samples from the device, and let me know in the comments what you think of the photo and video quality. Hi everyone, this is Kevin here, coming at you with a test video from the Oukitel K9 with the rear camera. Let's try out autofocus in video mode. Looks like it does work. There is indeed autofocus in video mode. A little bit on the slower side here, as you can see. There we go. It's now switched over. But let me know what you think of the quality. Also, let me know what you think of the microphone quality. Hi everyone, this is Kevin here, coming at you with a front-facing video from the Oukitel K9. So let me know what you think of the quality from this device. I'm on top of a parking garage right now. Want to get some good views from up here. So let me know what you think of the quality. So in conclusion, is the Oukitel K9 worth buying? Well, I certainly think this phone does have quite a few features that make it unique and stand out from the competition. I do think that the price is a little bit on the higher side. I think $179 would have been the sweet spot for this phone compared to its current price of $239. I just feel like you're paying a bit too much to get a Helio P35. But again, there are many other benefits with this phone, so maybe it is worth that price to you. I would say the main selling point with this device and what makes it really unique is the display. That 7.12-inch display, without a doubt, is incredible. It's a massive display. I think it's the largest display that I've ever used on a smartphone, personally. It can be a bit overwhelming at first, but I know that there's many benefits with large displays. It's great for doing things like going on Instagram and viewing all kinds of content like videos and really anything. So there's a lot of benefits to having a large display. And then the second thing about this phone that makes it unique is that battery. So that 6,000 milliamp hour internal battery is massive. Really amazing that they were able to cram such a large battery into this phone. So those two things, the display and the battery, are probably the two biggest selling points for the Oukitel K9, and if those are really important to you, then it might be worth paying the $239 price tag for the device. But let me know what you think about the Oukitel K9. Do you think it's worth it? Could you see this being your next smartphone? Or do you think that there's other phones that are better than it? But I hope you enjoyed this video. If you are interested in buying this phone, check out the link in the video description. Thank you, Oukitel, by the way, for sending this phone out to me to review. I really appreciate it. And I'll see all of you in the next video.